This week, communist China threatened to use a big stick if President Trump starts a trade war. To explain the challenges Trump faces and why China should matter to you, we spoke with economist Peter Morici, a professor at the University of Maryland. In simple terms, what is the U.S. beef with China?
China doesn't play by the rules, whether it's trade, security issues, what have you. It's violating its neighbors' sovereignty in the South China Sea, militarizing the area. It's making territorial claims that are unreasonable. And on trade, it cheats on its WTO commitments. And as a consequence, we have a huge trade deficit with China that probably costs Americans about 2 to 3 million jobs.
WTO is the World Trade Organization.
Correct. China cheats on its commitments to the World Trade Organization in a manner that costs America about 2 million to 3 million jobs.
In short order, what do you think President Obama has done right, and what has he done wrong, if anything, related to China?
He has enabled China, and that's the problem. He stood by while China built islands in the South China Sea in what were supposed to be neutral waters, militarized them, intimidated their neighbors, and we've lost face with allies like the Philippines. In addition, he has tried to make China back down on currency and trade issues, but when the Chinese stand firm, he's flinched. So by and large, it's been a policy of appeasement, and this hasn't served American interests well.
What do you see as President Trump's biggest challenge coming in?
Well, you can't do anything about China without offending somebody in America. If you clamp down on Chinese investment coming in the United States to free up access for Americans, there'll be American businesses that will lose out because they hope to sell out to China. If you clamp down on trade with China, you have American companies invested like General Electric, IBM, Ford, General Motors. If you challenge China in the Pacific, there is the potential for real conflict. But if you don't challenge China in the Pacific, it will grow to be the dominant power in the region and push out the United States. 40% of the world's shipping goes through the South China Sea. The South China Sea has huge oil resources and has considerable mineral resources. Those belong to all the nations in the region, and China is taking them for their own.
China has militarized the China Sea.
Correct. China has basically created artificial islands and an airstrip, and it is putting military assets on those islands. In addition, it's using the money that it gains in trade from the United States and its huge trade surplus to build a string of 20 ports from basically the Eastern Pacific all the way to the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean. In addition, it's using those monies to build a real Navy, one that can challenge the American Navy, not defeat it, but make our day. So overall, we are enabling the creation of a regional power with disruptive intentions that offers an alternative view of how societies should be organized that is not particularly sympathetic to American values of democracy and individual freedom.
If, as you described, nearly every course of action carries with it criticism and perils, what is it you advise President Trump to do?
Bite the bullet and put up with the criticism and perils and put China back in its box.
Morici adds that our focus on the Middle East, while important, has caused us to neglect our interests in Asia.